Jai Saliv, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Vihangam Yog Global Online Forum. It's such a pleasure for me to bring this edition to you once again. I myself am Avinav from Sydney, as I've had the opportunity to share in the past as well. I hope you're all staying safe in this strange time in history where, the entire world has come to a stop uh, just because of a small microorganism. It really makes us think, what is the power of nature? So, I hope you're all staying safe. And, this week we've got a very important topic, a very interesting discussion for you all, which is, inner strength. Uh, when you see this phrase and you start to think about it, it's such a subjective concept. Each and every one of us think about inner strength perhaps in our own way. We get it from a different place as well. For some of us it might be someone who inspires us. For some of us it might be examples of people who have gone beyond their potential and achieved incredible things. And it really brings back this message to us every time we look around to history and to our own society, that it seems like we're all capable of incredible things in life. And yet, just by nature of being a human and living in this world, there are always times when we struggle to hold on to a sense of inner strength. And it begins to become difficult for us to achieve our goals and to even get up in the morning, and sometimes we become very sad. And that's obviously a very difficult thing to go through. And it's something which we've all experienced in our own, ways in our own lives. So this week, what we wanted to do is we wanted to talk to you all about how we can develop inner strength. We all know that this life we lead is, tumultuous, is up and down. And we all know that it's unfair to ask of anyone to always be in a state where they are always feeling strong from inside. The world is so, variable and changes so often that it's just the nature of being human that sometimes we feel a little weaker. But in those moments, what does the message of Vihangam Yoga have to say to us about how we can develop inner strength and how we can retain inner strength? So I'm really excited to talk about this with you all this week. This week we have a lovely speaker joining us from South Africa, Sri Amit Monaji, who is the president of the Indian Association and the South Africa Sant Samaj of Vihangam Yoga. He's also an engineering manager in a petrochemical firm or company known as Transnet in South Africa. Today, we're going to be discussing with him about this topic, and we're going to be trying to take away a few things and apply them to our lives so that through the medium of, the philosophy and the practical science of Vihangam Yoga and the Svarved, the encyclopedia of spirituality, which Sadhguru Siddhartha Maharaj brought to this world, through the medium of these two primary things, we're going to try and understand this topic. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Amit Ji to the platform. I hope you can hear me clearly, Amit Ji.
Namaste and Jai Sadgurudev Abhinav Ji.
Ji, thank you so much for joining us this week. And, I'm sure this is something which you've also thought about a lot in your life, about inner strength. So I'm really keen to dig into it.
Yeah. With you. No, thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, we appreciate having you here. So, Amit Ji, I wanted to start very simple. Inner strength, we all sometimes define it in our own way. How would you define inner strength?
Yeah, I think in simple words, if we put inner strength is like a willpower or courage inside us. It's an internal energy. And I feel it's like multidimensional, means like if we think about our health also, a normal healthy person, it's a physical, psychological and social well-being, and not just being absence of disease. That's a definition for a healthy person. And then obviously, um, as we discuss about inner strength, I feel like it's multidimensional, like social, occupational, spiritual, physical, intellectual and emotional. When all these things combine together, I think we talk about, then it becomes an inner strength. And also in another ways, like we stay in this human body, which is inert, or we stay in this physical body or form, and we do have a soul inside this body, which operates this body through the mind and through the intellect. So I feel like these inner elements also, and our mind and soul, these are all the important factors which are actually contributing to our inner strength.
Gee, and that's a very, lovely place for us to start. If you could just unpack some of that. So you spoke about the mind, the intellect, and the soul. What do each of these do, and how do they contribute? What is their contribution to inner strength?
Yeah, a thing is that you see, the soul resides in our body, and we do have sense organs and working organs, and obviously we have mind and intellect. Now if a soul want to interact, or a soul wants something, it cannot directly operate this body, so it has to go through the mind and intellect, and then through their media, or through that medium, uh, the soul actually gives the commands, and then the working organs or sense organs starts working. Simply like if a body needs a water, then the soul commands to the mind and the intellect, and then it drives this body and gets the water. So if we want to understand in a simple way, like if there is a car, and there is a owner, which is like a soul which is sitting behind, and then the mind is like a driver, and the intellect is like a steering, and then we have wheels and all other parts like working organs and sense organs. Similarly, the concept what we are talking, the driver, which is like a soul which sits behind and gives order to the mind, and then the mind drives the car through the intellect, so then it reaches to the destination. So in the case when the soul or the owner is strong, the car will reach to the proper destination, or wherever the owner wants. But the biggest problem is when the driver takes the control on the car and not the owner, and then that is a problem where actually the mind decides where the car must go, and that's what all the problem starts in our life, and that's how we also start losing the inner strength.
Yeah, beautiful analogy for us to understand, obviously. And if we could just take a step back for a moment before we go deeper into that analogy and what it represents. So you spoke about how inner strength is multidimensional. How,
Yep.
How do we kind of, as people, how do we identify what those dimensions are in our lives? Because you touched on how it's important to look at it in a multidimensional way. So, how would
Yep.
you recommend, if I am in a position where I'm losing inner strength, that I analyze the different parts of my life?
Yeah, there are various things like physical, mental, and spiritual. So, we actually have to see, or we can feel like simply if you don't do exercise, or if you're unfit, or if you sleep very less, then you start losing your inner strength. Similarly, like if you say if you have a fear, or if you have a sadness, if you have lack of motivation, you have anger, you have stress, so mentally, these are the mental effects where you actually start losing the inner strength. And similarly, on the spiritual side, like if you are atheist, or if you don't understand the mind, as we are discussing earlier, and also understanding the energy of soul, if you don't do meditation, if you don't have a proper guru, then you start losing the inner strength. So physical, mental, and spiritual, These are the three things through which we actually lose our inner strength.
So, Amiji, that's obviously very helpful for us. You spoke about the three dimensions of physical, mental, spiritual. So, what are the effects in each of these dimensions when we lose inner strength?
Yeah, I actually, you can easily see the symptoms in people, those who have lost the inner strength. Means obviously it's physical, psychological, emotional, and behavioral. Suppose if you take physical, I will just give one or two examples. Like people always get, cold and fever or infections. They have regularly indigestion issues. Then some people get dizziness or panic attacks. Then also people feel tired and they do get heart problems or blood pressure. And then if you see psychological symptoms, a lot of people, they have lack of concentration, they can't make any decisions, they become very much negative. Then anxiety is increased, they are depressed, they don't have any enthusiasm, they have lack of memory. And also if we see their moods, like their moods keep changing, they get irritated very quickly, they are very sensitive about criticism, they feel like a bit out of control, they are always demotivated, and obviously there is a lack of confidence and self-esteem. And sometimes in the behavioral side you will see such type of people easily actually accept like alcohol, drugs, or smoking things. And also like these people are frequently absent in the work, and then they also neglect or change in appearance, and sometimes they withdraw themselves in the society and also in relationship. And sometimes they act out of character, they also lie, they become aggressive. And obviously insomnia is one of the biggest issue as a sign of losing inner strength.
Gee, yes. And I'm sure we can all identify maybe one or two of those things which we have also experienced in our lives when things have become a little difficult. So if we were to go back to the analogy which you shared earlier about the car, how do we take back control of the car and start to regain inner strength?
Yeah, I think that is the most important thing, because a lot of people can find or they understand the symptoms and all that, but to develop the inner strength is very important. And obviously, as we spoke earlier, that inner strength is multidimensional. So we have to also gain it back by physical, mental, and then also changing or understanding our behavioral pattern and spiritually. So these are the four aspects by which we can actually gain our inner strength. And then on the physical side, I will say, like people can do physical exercise, like you can go to the gym or play some sports, etc. Then you can do walking, you can do some yogic postures, you can do some muscle relaxations. And then because we reside in the body, the soul stays in the body, the mind is in the body, so the physical fitness is very important, which will give you a lot of confidence. And then obviously on your behavioral side, um, there are some tips, like you can actually change the perception and expectations from the others and also ourselves. You must break the jobs and tasks into the manageable parts. A lot of time when you don't do that, you feel like weak, and you also feel like you are lost in your life. So it's very important when you do any task or job, you must break it into the parts which is easily manageable. Then always set a reasonable goal, set a boundaries when you do any work. Then don't compromise with your values and beliefs. Schedule some time for yourself. Stop negative thinking. I think that's one of the biggest problem, on the behavioral side. You have to tell yourself, to be always positive. Then obviously one need to have a time management. A person who does a good time management will be always happy. You will see that. Then keep your control on diet and also have a self-confidence. So this was actually like a behavioral pattern which we can change and gain our inner strength. But also most important is the mind, because of which we lose most of our energy, which is the biggest element through which actually we lose the inner strength. Because obviously we know the science anything which has to operate or work needs the energy. So the mind takes energy from the soul and it operates. If you see, it's like even sleeping phase, like when you are sleeping and you are dreaming, that time also when your mind is operating, you have a lot of dreams, and then you feel happy, you feel tired, you feel scared. So there are various emotions, but the mind is still working and the energy of soul is still used, and next day when you wake up, actually you feel very tired. So it's very important that your mind, which plays a critical role in gaining, in losing the inner strength, actually should be controlled or need to be stable. So obviously there are certain things which you can do to gain the inner strength or to control the mind. That is, first thing is a simple thing. What you can do is you can listen some music. Then there is a therapy called as yoga nidra, by which actually your mind is in between the awakening and the sleeping phase, and there are instructions given to your mind, and it makes a lot of difference actually, which is called as yoga nidra. You can listen to the cassettes or online, there are a lot of videos about it. Then you can do breathing techniques, which is very, very important, because your mind and your breath both are synchronized. As your breath is stable, your mind gets stable. And then obviously what you like, you must do. For example, if you like cycling, do the cycling. If you like gardening or cooking or singing, whatever hobbies you have, especially, we are in the time of pandemic or corona where, people do have a lot of time in their hand. And obviously, they can develop all the hobbies or the things which they have missed in life actually. So that will also help us a lot actually to develop the inner strength. And then obviously the very important part is, if you do yoga or meditation or control your mind, that's, I think, very, very important part where Vyangam yoga also comes in, because we are not only the one, those who are going through all these things. If you take the example of Arjuna in Mahabharata, he has also lost the inner strength. He doesn't have any decision making power, and that's how he's asking Krishna that his mind is unstable, and please guide him. So that's how all the Bhagavad Gita starts actually, because of losing the inner strength.
Yeah, a very problematic place to be in, obviously. And it begs the question, how does Vihangam Yoga help in controlling the mind? And is it accurate to say that developing inner strength is the same as saying controlling your mind more strongly?
Yeah, actually, the other aspect is also of spirituality, but I feel like the beginning should be from your mind, because that's the thing you can actually feel your mind. Like if I tell you go to your home, you are at your home, go to your school, your mind can go to your school, or go to your office, it will reach to your office. So it's very easy to experience the mind when we actually give some instructions like this. But same time, if I say I experience your soul, it's in your heart, no one can experience it like this. So obviously the first step to gain the inner strength is to actually work on the mind. And then the second step is spiritual, which will take you gradually, because like a flight, if we take an example of a flight, if it has to fly in the sky, it just doesn't fly directly, it needs a runway. So it first actually runs on a runway, and then it does a takeoff. So similarly, before even going to the spirituality and developing the spiritual inner strength, first thing I feel like we need to go on this runway, and that's how Vihangam Yoga actually provides you. The first step meditation, actually it starts from the concentration of the mind, and it also helps you to stabilize the mind. And it's quite interesting. When you do that, you also get answers like what are the phases of mind, like where is your mind in the deep sleep or in a dreaming phase or awakening phase. Then also you understand like how the mind works, like it keeps constant contact between the sense organs and intellect in the present. Mind remains busy with memories in the past, and then also mind remains busy in imagining the future. But also Vihangam Yoga tells you that mind can only do one thing once at a time. It cannot do too many things. Means it can't be in future and it can't be in past. So it's only Vyangam Yoga which actually goes into very detail and explains you, like, the phases of mind and how it works, and then it tells you the weakness of mind, and because of which actually it becomes very easy to control your mind. And obviously, if you practice the first stage of Vyangam Yoga meditation, I feel like you will get so much of benefits. Like on the physical side, you will get a better sleep, faster healing. It will improve your eyesight. It will lower your blood pressure. It increases the energy level, strengthens your nervous system. It strengthens your immune system. It increases your lung capacity, and it increases your breathing capacity also. And then if you see the benefits of the meditation, it will encourage the sense of peace. It will make you realize the turn from off in your inner self, like it will take you inside, and then also it will take you towards the source of bliss, eternal bliss. And most probably, until and unless your mind is connected with your soul cannot come into the pure form. So with Vyangam Yoga meditation techniques, when you reach to the fourth stage of meditation, and then the mind and breath get detached from your soul, and then the soul comes in pure form, and then it's the journey of soul starts from there. The real meditation of soul starts from there. But uh, before we go in so much of detail, I think, if you practice the first step of meditation itself, you will get so much of benefits and you will have so much of confidence. I think you can conquer the world with that.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful thing to think about, that just with the practice of a technique twice a day like that, we can become like that. So if I am in a situation where maybe someone is unhappy with me at work, maybe I'm unhappy with myself because I have done something which I feel I should have done better at work, whatever it may be, and I am feeling a little weak, what should I remind myself in that moment, considering the things we've discussed?
Yeah, I think, first thing is you must tell, you must have a confidence, first thing is, and you must tell that you have done nothing wrong. The second thing is, if you are doing the regular meditation, I feel like the stage will not come where you will start blaming yourself, or you will feel like you have that weakness, or you feel that that you have lost the inner strength. So I will suggest that if you keep doing the regular meditation, that is the best solution, which will help you out to come out from any critical situation you are going through.
That's very encouraging to know, obviously. And why would you say that this meditation technique is so good at helping us develop inner strength? There are so many, obviously, so many techniques which we can try, including some of the ones you discussed, such as breathing and Yog Nidra. Why is Vihangam Yoga meditation and the message of Swarvev so powerful and unique?
Yeah, because you see, Vihangam Yoga is not any new yoga, but it's a very ancient knowledge of India. It is like, eternal knowledge. It was also known as a Brahma Vidya, Madhu Vidya, Para Vidya, Devi Anpat, Mean Mark. And obviously, the meditation, what Vihangam Yoga is teaching, is not a new invention or a rocket science. It was always there. So if you see, as we are discussing the example of Arjuna in the Mahabharata, so Lord Krishna is also taught the same meditation of Vihangam Yoga or Brahma Vidya. Because if you read Gita, Krishna says that to Arjuna, whatever I'm teaching you is part of Upanishad and it's part of Brahma Vidya. So Krishna has actually taught this meditation to Arjuna in the war of Mahabharata, and Arjuna has done this meditation. So it has been proven like around 5,500 years before that if you practice this technique, you will get the best results. And we have seen that Arjuna has done a meditation in the face of war, and he has gained his inner strength. He has got his decision making power back, and actually he took his bow and arrow, and he fought for what it was right actually. So I feel that's why Vyangam Yoga is a most ancient path of the world, and it is actually a proven technique or knowledge which we don't have to reinvent any wheel for. And that's the biggest difference in between the latest or various types of things what we have against this most ancient knowledge of world.
Gee. And Amit ji, just to end our conversation, where I think we've all learned a lot, what were your closing thoughts or message be to people out there who are, listening to us and getting inspired perhaps to develop their inner strength and are looking at themselves and thinking what's my next step?
Yeah, you see, what I will tell them is in closing remarks is, you see, everything is related to the mind, and obviously we believe in reincarnation, so mind is the only reason of rebirth and salvation. In Upanishad also it is said that manayava manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. And if you see is like we talking about this meditation, it's very important that we have to go above this maya to experience the God. And obviously in Ramayana also it is said that go gochar jaha lagi man jahi tahatak maya jano bahi. So wherever this working organs, sense organs and mind reaches is all maya, and God is beyond that. So if we have to reach up to the God and get the experience in this human life, we have to go through the proper meditation of this Vyangam Yoga. And the highest part is, Vyangam Yoga clearly says that in Swarveda, इंद्रियों से नाही साधन प्राण से चित्त मन से नाही साधन नाही बुद्धि महान से. So we cannot do actually a meditation through our work organs or sense organs or with our breathing techniques, and then also obviously not with the chitta or with our mind or not with the intellect. So obviously the soul has to do its own meditation, and it's only possible with the knowledge of Vyangam Yoga and with the blessings of Sadguru, because that is the energy actually which travels with the soul even in the fourth state of meditation. And when we have got realization, it doesn't leave our hand internally also, and that is the energy which is always present. So I will suggest to you that learn more about the Sadguru and its ability, and all this the meditation which goes internally, and this technique is also eternal actually, which always existed from the start of the universe. So that's what I want to say. As a Vyangam Yoga, we wish like with this meditation world will get the peace and unity. And then also obviously one day this is a science of consciousness, and the Brahma Vidya or Vyangam Yoga which will be re-established. And then obviously the main aim to come in the body is to get salvation, moksha, to get freedom for the soul, which is the most important task, which maybe a lot of people are forgetting. So this human body is very valuable, and I will say through this meditation technique you will also achieve that. So I pray to all of you for your healthy life, and to utilize this beautiful time of pandemic where we are not allowed to go out, and obviously there are a lot of what we can say on Facebook and Twitter, people are posting a lot of things where they are saying if you can't go outside, go inside. So I think this is a time for all of you. You can go inside and experience. There is a treasure hidden inside your body, and you can have hundreds and hundreds of experiences.
Gee, and I think that's a very powerful way for us to end. So thank you for joining us this week, Amit ji, and I'm looking forward to more conversations very soon with you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Abhinav ji, and just wish a very healthy life ahead for everyone, those who are listening. Jai Sadgurudev.
Yes, there. So, folks, that brings us toward the end of another conversation on this platform. Just to quickly summarize some of the things we discussed with Amitji, the analogy is very simple, that there is a car and the person who owns the car is us, but the one who's driving it is not us, it's the mind. What the yogic sciences and what Vihangam Yoga tells us is that in order for us to take back control of this car, which we own, we have to develop the inner strength to do that. And as Amitji explained to us today, inner strength is multidimensional, but ultimately there is a spiritual source or a spiritual path by which we can develop it in a very powerful way in a very short amount of time. Vihangam meditation is one of the most distinguishable ways in which we can do this. Not only based off the experiences which Amitji shared, but also I can also vouch for that in my own life. And I know there's many people around the world, hundreds and thousands of people who have been practicing Vihangam Yoga. The simplicity of it is this technique of meditation, as Amitji explained, has been around for thousands of years. It's been perfected, it's been tested, it's been verified. And so when we start to walk the path of Vihangam Yoga, we start to see these changes which Amitji explained to us. And of course, when you're in the vast ocean of the world, as Amitji explained near the end, we need a lighthouse, we need a guide, and that guide is the Sadguru. So I hope you've all got something to think about from this conversation. Please do share any questions you have, and we're looking forward to engaging with you all even more. I'm sure Amitji is very much happy to come back and have another conversation with us and address any questions which you all have. So we hope we were able to give you something to think about, and we were able to give you a very clear understanding of the different aspects of inner strength and how we can develop and regain it in our own lives. So with that, everyone, I hope you are all safe and taking care. Jai Sudev, and let's meet again very soon.